All right, we got everybody here. Good morning. Today is February the 7th, and it's 10 o'clock. The board is in session. The purpose of this meeting is a kickoff of our next fiscal year's budget analysis and preparation. All three commissioners are here, and we have a fine group in the audience. We appreciate everyone showing up, or as many of you that can. And the purpose of this meeting is to have a kickoff of our budget. We thought it'd be good again to have a group session. If any of you have questions, you can pose questions. And we've been working with the clerk's office and with HR to try and set some parameters for this next year's budget. And I think we've arrived at some pretty good numbers. And appreciate the efforts of the clerk's office and the HR office to get this underway. And we want to try and once again, we want to increase the productivity of all employees. We appreciate all the county employees. I think we've got a really good set, and that's the reason that we want to have a significant, or at least keeping up with the market on the pay scale, because we want to but we want to kind of keep our employment flat if we can. And anyway, with that, any questions or discussion before we proceed? Okay. Well,
Mr. Chairman,
yeah.
I don't know what, I would like to give some, but if now's the time or something.
Go ahead.
Well, I guess, from my perspective, just thank all of the people here for what they've done and helped us do, because I'm the new kid on the block, but
Well, you got 2 years under your belt.
just the time that I've been here, we've asked you to think outside the box, and you have, in terms of personnel, and we've kept the personnel at 41 per 10,000 in a fast-growing community. We've done the operational budget the same way. You've done that. So that's my takeaway for all of you. Just thank you for what you've done. And again, then just as an aside, 2026 is the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, for those who haven't focused on that. And I think it would be useful. I went back and read the Declaration of Independence, and there are 28 things that our founders had problems with in how the government was functioning the way it was, and that's why they wanted to change it. So it would be instructive, it was for me anyway, instructive to go back and look at that and say, okay, where are we now as government functioning in relation to what those complaints were 250 years ago? Are we on track? Are we going back and doing the same thing? Are we moving forward? And if it's instructive, you guys have done a good job of that in terms of what you've done, what we've done in the county. So just refocus ourselves in what we're doing, how we're doing it, and limit the amount and put your taxpayer hat on, which you've done, as you go through this, so that you look at it from just a regular taxpayer. What am I doing as a taxpayer? How would I view what I'm doing if I were just a taxpayer sitting out there in Ada County, at the functioning of how we do things? And like I said, you've helped us do that, and I appreciate, the board appreciates what you've done so far in terms of helping us do that. So just keep on keeping on. One quote, as I was reading it, Churchill said it this way, he said, money should fructify, in other words, bear fruit in the pockets of the people. And that's what we need to focus on, keeping as much money in the pockets of the people, because that's where it multiplies, not in the coffers of government. There are things we have to do, but we don't have to do only what we have to do.
Correct. Did you want to say anything?
Well, I'll just say it's a interesting time in our country right now related to budgets and government spending, as we're all kind of glued to the TV watching Elon Musk and Doge go into some of these federal agencies and take a close look that no one's ever really took before, and just identify a lot of what's probably going to come out to be just completely inappropriate spending. I think we should all kind of be cognizant of that as we move forward in our project. Now, I'm very happy that I'm part of a county government that doesn't have a very big budget compared to the federal government, and we keep a close eye on our department heads do, so that we're not going to find a lot of inappropriate spending. But I think just, be wary that, of Elon's example, that sometimes a fresh set of eyes, a fresh way of looking at things, can be beneficial and can cause conversations that maybe there are different ways to do things. If you just take a step back from the system that's been in place forever and say, okay, is there any new ways, any other spending that we could avoid? Now we're not going to find certainly as much as Doge has, and that's a good thing because we have been keeping an eye on it, and our department chairs have been keeping an eye on it. But it's just a good omen to me that our country's going through maybe the first ever real audit of government programs that we've had in my lifetime, and I'm excited to see how it plays out and how that trickles down to Idaho. So again, thanks for all your good work, and we're really looking forward to a good budget this year.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I might add one little item, and I think it's sort of folding in with what my colleagues have said, is examine your budgets, examine what you actually do, and see if there's any area where that is not statutorily required, or that's not an ordinance that's required to do it. If there's things that you can figure out, we don't need to do that just because we've always done it. And that would be a good way to streamline our government and keep our efficiency and our productivity high. So with that, I'm turning it over to our clerk, Mr. Trent Tribble. Go ahead.
And Mr. Chairman, again, he's helping us do this, so a gigantic thank you to him too.
Thank you. Appreciate the comments so far. Before I jump into this, just want to clarify, 250 years ago, Philadelphia was the capital of our country.
And they moved it.
I don't think Kansas City was even a dot on a map yet at that point, so. For our budget kickoff, folks, a quick history of our fund balance history. Elon Musk could take a page from what we've been doing over the last 4 or 5 years in Ada County. We have driven down fund balances, right, that we've had because we've had excess money than what we've budgeted. And you'll see that this next year, we are in a good place with reserves. The gray area up there is our cash basis reserve. It also accounts for our revenue replacement rainy day fund. There's a bunch of different names for it. The red up there is what we're using in our fund balance to fund the following year's budget. And then the blue area is what is unassigned fund balance. And that's the question mark that a lot of people have. If you have unassigned fund balance, why are you taking those taxes? And so as a county, we've done a very good job over the last couple of years pushing that downward a little bit so that we're being very fiscally responsible with the taxpayers' dollars. This is the fund balance history in the general fund. A big thank you, as Commissioner Daly has mentioned, for your efforts in driving, again, that number down, using the money that you've been given wisely and not asking for more than you need. We have also done a magnificent job over the last couple of years shifting some of that unassigned fund balance or cash that isn't being expended over to the personnel side. And I'll touch on why that was so important over the last couple of years here in a second. But as you can see, we're back down to about $14 million in unassigned fund balance projected towards the end of this year, which is where we should be. For revenue projections, I should say revenue rejections, because that's probably what it's going to feel like in the next year. But revenue projections for us are flat. There's not probably going to be an increase in sales tax. Depending on what the legislature does this year, there could even be a slight decrease to sales tax as they strive to do some property tax relief. Where they're getting the money to do that property tax relief is taking off the top of their sales tax revenue, which then reduces the amount of portion that is shared to the county. So we'll keep an eye on that, but for now we're keeping it flat. Interest we're keeping flat as well, and liquor tax is flat as well. We need to encourage more people to go out and either buy a more expensive booze or more of the cheaper booze. But either way, liquor tax is going to be flat for the coming year, and shared revenue as well. One-time funding, as I had mentioned, we have $14 million of available projected towards the end of this year for FY26's budget for CIP and EOE. That is made up of about 7.5 million in the unexpended money that we had from last year's budget, plus some interest from ARPA that is sitting in the bank. So between those two things, there's about $14 million that could go towards CIP and EOE. For reference, the last 2 years, we've averaged about $7 million a year towards CIP requests and EOE. So if we maintain that trend, we're probably going to be okay with one-time spending or requests that are supplementals. But that's for everyone's edification. For employee compensation, there's been a lot of research done on this. HR has briefed the board on this as well. Tentative target is a 4% increase for employees. That should keep us in line with the combined CPI over the last several years. As everybody knows, prices are still high. Inflation is higher than we want it to be, and the board is nodding towards this 4%. Again, that is all dependent upon what happens in 3 or 4 months as well. So the target is 4%. The cost of the general fund for that 4% is $6.2 million. So that is additional revenue that we need to find in order to fund that 4% increase. The new construction roll this year is around $3 million. So if you can see simple math, there needs to be another $3.2 million in revenue found somewhere. That could come from a number of different sources, but the most likely, based off what we've done over the last couple of years in shrinking that fund balance and shifting some of that capital operating over to personnel, is it may require an increase in taxes. Okay, and the board will have to go through those deliberations in June to be able to rest upon that. For reference, again, the last 3 years, and this is the huge thank you to all of you, and pass this on to your employees. The last 3 years, we've increased salaries on average 17%, and we have not taken an additional tax dollar to do that. Okay, that is magnificent budgeting on all of your parts. Okay. But we're back to the point where there probably isn't a whole lot of extra to find anywhere else now to be able to shift towards those pay raises. So again, that extra revenue demand will be hard, and there'll be some difficult discussions. The mix between merit COLA of that 4% will be determined at a later date as we receive feedback from all of you to determine what's the best mix to do that. Additional revenue will be needed for any additional personnel supplementals, new positions, special salary adjustments, promotions. That either has to come from within your own budgets, or there has to be a revenue stream that we can find somewhere to do that. Whether that's new taxes, which will be a hard ask, or finding it within your own budget. So for the allotments this year, allocations will be flat. There will be no automatic increases. Any personnel actions, new positions, special salary adjustments, and promotions should be funded within the allocation that you get, to try to find some savings. If you happen to have nowhere to find that, you can submit something, but just realize it will require a very detailed justification and be ranked in order of importance for consideration. The PA process is also under review right now. There will be a proposal to the board here shortly on how we're revamping that PA process slightly, but as part of this year's budget process, all PA transactions throughout the year will be briefed as part of the June budget briefing. And I'll show you where that's going to show up here in a second. Other considerations, healthcare premiums review, right? There could be a possibility that healthcare premiums might increase for folks. And that's a strong possibility. There is also a blended rate review, how we budget across the county for the county's portion of that. And then there is good news on the PERSI front. They're not increasing again this year in July. They have backed off of that, and there's also actual minimal reduction in public safety PERSI requirements. We're sifting through the implications of that going forward, but that is good news on the PERSI front. For the timelines, important dates, February 10th, we will be getting budget packets out to folks. March 11th, personnel analysis will be locked down. May 1st, preliminary budgets electronically submitted to our office, and then May 5th through 8th, all the supporting documentation, and we'll be sitting down with all departments going over those budgets as submitted so that we can start on that budget development process. Other important timelines, the budget briefing and deliberation timeline in June. As you can see, June 9th through 11th, very similar to what we did this last year with department and elected official briefings. I will brief detailed budgets on all of your budgets, the 12th and the 13th. And then the following week, 3 days for budget deliberations to get through that. There will be an evening public forum on June 11th for the public to make a comment. And that will hopefully wrap up the budget deliberations for that period of time. Presentation expectations, we will have a template that will be provided to you of what the commissioners would like to hear in your budget presentations, mainly focusing on the why and if nots, meaning if you don't get what you're asking for, what would be the impact of that. Obviously covering your office overviews and strong justification for supplementals and requests for CIPs and EOEs. And then of course, I will be briefing the numbers. Feel free if you want to add those numbers to your briefs as well, but the 12th and the 13th, I'll be going through all of the numbers for personnel and budget in your presentations. What that'll look like from me is very similar to what we did last year, minus the yellow highlighted items that were part of the audit. In place of that will again be the personnel analysis history. Statute, I'm required to brief history on the budget allocations and expenses for both personnel and capital operating, which I will do. And then I will cover your CIP requests, supplemental requests, and EOE requests on the following page, also to look at a historical on your revenue projections. So that'll be my portion of the brief that I will cover. And most importantly, this wraps up my brief. I'll stand for questions, and I'm sure the commissioners will be able to answer questions as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Are there any questions from anybody? Now's your time if you want to have any questions, and as we'll be visiting with you over the next few months, and Trent will be visiting with you as well to establish your proposed budget. So we wanted to hold this meeting here so that if anyone here had any questions you want to bring up, now's a good time. Yes.
Trent, can we get a copy of the PowerPoint? Minus this slide, just kidding.
Come on. I'll send you a stuffed animal, stuffed eagles.
Yeah. Yeah, many are called, but few are Mahomes. Okay, any other questions? Appreciate that. All right, well, thank you for the presentation, and I think it's a good kickoff to our budget cycle, and we look forward to working with all of you, and we appreciate all your employees and you, and let them know that we really appreciate the work that we get done here in the county, because we are where the rubber hits the road, and we appreciate that. Any other comments? Go ahead.
Just a follow-up to all of that is that at least when I talk to people in the county, they are not they're comfortable with the way we're running county government as well. At least that's the consensus that I get. It's like all of us, we'd all like to pay no taxes at all or less taxes, but they understand that it's a function of a government that we have to have. We have to have government. It has to function. So how we spend the money is really the most criticism that I get in terms of what we do. So that's why we appreciate all of you guys helping us do that well, and so thank you again.
Yep. Any other? Go ahead.
I would say that presentation was a real touchdown.
A real touchdown, yeah.
First Philadelphia touchdown.
All right. Well, once again, this is our budget kickoff. We thank you all for your attendance, and for be sure and reach out to us if you have any questions. Reach out to the clerk there, to Trent, if you have any questions, or his staff. And as we work through this budget process, we hope to be able to find the balance, and I think we will. All right, thank you. With that, we'll be adjourned. Thank you.